Hi guys, my name is C.Solange. For those who don't know who I am yet, I do true life crime videos. I also like to drink my vino. Because when I'm with good friends, I like to drink my vino. Also, when I'm doing this, I'm also doing my makeup. Any questions about my makeup or the products that I am using, it'll be in the description. If you enjoy my videos, I will ask you to do the same as usual. Share, like, comment, don't be shy, let me know what you think. Today's story needs a drink. It's going to be a little bit different, and everything that's going to happen is just not right. And I mean everything. So I thought, let's do this story, see how people react to it. But I'm telling you, like, I bet that you're going to do the same thing that I did. Once I tell you this story, you're going to go on the internet straight away to see if this is real. But trust me, it's real. Sit down, because this story, it's about murder, suicide, about the family Pladl, or more like about Stephen Pladl and what he did and what happened through their lives. Enjoy. I'm gonna come back without makeup. See you soon. So one day, this 15-year-old girl called Elisa was surfing the net, and she came across this 20-year-old, or he started talking to her. And although they lived quite far away from each other, that didn't stop them from seeing each other. So he would go and he would do the long drives every 2 weeks. And because her parents also didn't have anything against their relationship, i.e. one being 15, the other one being 20 years old, they quickly fell in love and started a relationship. And guess what? A couple years later, of course, she fell pregnant. She fell pregnant with a little girl. They moved in together and decided to name their baby Denise Pladl, just like the father and now the mother, because they got married. Lisa started noticing these things that he did. He would get very angry. It could go from being vino. It's meant to be vino, can't speak, drinks more, perfect. She started noticing these changes in his behavior, especially after having the little baby, Denise. So what would happen, babies cry. So babies can't communicate with us, so what they do is they cry. It's the only way for them to explain to us what's going on with them and what's wrong and what's not. So every time the baby would cry, he would start doing things that aren't so nice. So for example, the baby would cry if she would feed the baby, and if she would change the nappy, if she would do all the normal things for a baby to stop crying in his mind. Then if the baby didn't stop crying, he would put it in a cooler and he would keep it there until she would stop. Until she would stop crying. Now, when she would stop crying, that just meant that she was running out of air. He would also do horrible things, like he would pinch the baby so hard that they would leave all these purple marks in her body, and he thought that was funny somehow. He did other things. He would just put his hand over her mouth. So Elisa started getting really, really scared. So not only he was very abusive to her, but this little baby was also getting hurt. So Lisa made a toughest decision of keeping her daughter safe, and the only way to do that in her head was to give the baby up for adoption. And obviously Stephen didn't put up a fight against that, so that's what she did. Luckily, there was this lovely couple that took Elisa straight away and changed the name to Katie Fusco. According to all the articles and newspapers and everything that's out there, she apparently, when I say she, now called Katie, she had a normal life. She was going up to college. She was a very bright student. She was studying art and she was giving honors because she was so good at art. When she turned 18, though, she decided to just start looking for her real parents. So she started surfing the net again, and she looked, and apparently it didn't take her that long to find her real mum through social media. I'm just going to backtrack a little bit. When Alison gave up her daughter, She wasn't happy about it. It was a very, very, very hard decision. But she did stay with Stephen still. And apparently Stephen started getting a little bit better. So much that after 10 years of being together, they decided to have children. And they ended up having another 2 daughters. And according to her, he wasn't mean to the girl. He still lost his temper, but he wouldn't do the horrible jokes that he used to do with baby Katie to just hurt her and see, you know, how long she would stay in a box. And let's not go back to that. So then Katie decided to find them. She went on the internet, saw her mum on social media, and decided, I'm going to message her. The first time that she messaged her mother, Elisa actually thought it was just spam. She didn't even think twice. Like, I have a daughter. Are you up for meeting me? And then that's when Katie decided to send a second message with the proof, with the ancestry things that she went and looked through in order to find her and find her father. The marriage by then wasn't very good between the two of them. Elisa's had enough, and they were sleeping in separate rooms. They weren't divorced yet or separated, but they were sleeping in separate rooms. So she said, yes, come. And, you know, she was all excited. She was going to see her daughter after 18 years. It's a dream come true. And she was going to meet her siblings. It's great. But things like this just makes me think about, you know, the adopted parents. So they went through, you know, finding their baby when she was 7 months old. And then she becomes 18 and she just decides to go and find the parents, which that's fine. I know that many people do that. It's fine, of course. And there's nothing wrong with that. The issue here is that she not just only went to visit. 2 months in, she decided she was no longer going to college, studying arts. You remember that she was really, really good at it. She got a scholarship and everything. And she just decided that she was going to live with her biological mother and father. And that must really be hard for the parents that took her in, because, you know, she's 18. They can't really say no. But, you know, one thing is going to visit them. Another thing is you had a whole future here, and 2 months later you're going and you're staying there. And everywhere I looked, in every article and everything, it doesn't say anything about the adopted parents being bad or about her having a bad childhood. Completely the opposite. They all say that she had a normal childhood and, yeah, that she was happy with the adopted parents and there was nothing to it. But one can only imagine it. Like, imagine if it was you. Come on, like, it's your baby. Although it's not biologically yours, and you know, if you know, parents that decide to tell the children, which I think most of the parents now decide to tell their children they're adopted, and if they don't, it's up to them. But they always know the risk that they will look for their biological parents. But the difference here, like I said, like 2 months in, it's like, bye-bye, no, don't want to live with you in New York anymore. In the first couple of months, the mother started noticing, like, behavior that was strange to her. Like, Stephen started using like skinny jeans. He cut his beard. He wanted to look sexy, and she thought, okay, that's a little bit weird, okay. And she also noticed that for 2 nights he slept in a room. According to him, he slept on the floor in a room. And when she confronted him and said, look, this isn't normal, why are you sleeping in the room with our daughter? He just got upset and he left. He said, it's nothing to do with you, none of your business, so shut up. So, because of that answer, Lisa decided to tell the truth to her daughter, which she didn't do before. And she was open with her, and she said exactly everything that her dad used to do to her since she was a newborn until she was up for adoption at 8 months old. It didn't seem to bother the daughter at all. So things got really bad around the house, and Elisa decided to move out, divorce him, because she just could not take him anymore, couldn't take the abuse anymore. And what happened was her daughter Katie decided to stay with him. And, you know, they had another 2 daughters, which I don't know much about that. The mum has done a few interviews and documentaries and everything else, but they don't talk about the other two sisters, and why should they? They're not involved in the story apart from they were born, they're part of the family. So they had to share custody of the daughters. The 11-year-old daughter was living with her dad and Katie in the house. And one day the father was, he was upset with the 11-year-old daughter. And what he did was he said, look, I can't put up with this daughter anymore. Look at her diary, see what's going on. I've just had enough. And he gave her like this diary. The mother, obviously, like any other mum, she doesn't really want to look at the daughter's diary, because we all know it's like reading boyfriend's texts. It's like, why would you do that? Just don't do it to yourself. Like, just don't do it. So the mum was like, no, I don't want to read this. Why do I have to read this? And he's like, well, I don't know. You need to sort your daughter out. She clearly is going through something. We don't have the patience to like have her at home. So here's the diary, and sort her out, okay? So the mother's like, okay, right, I'm going to look at the diary. So then the mother opened the diary, and there was pages. I'm going to show you a little bit of the content there. So she's saying things like, did my dad and sister got a little bit too drunk last night? And why is my dad forcing me to call my sister now my stepmom? And is this why she's now pregnant? Because they got drunk so much last night? And much more for the mother to read. Now, no mum would like to read that, but what I don't get is like, why did he show her that? Why did he make her look at that diary? I really don't get it. So obviously the mum went back to the house. No, she didn't go back to the house. She called them and she confronted them, because obviously she was a little bit scared of like confrontation. And the mum was like, what are you doing? Like, here says that you two are a couple. And you know what it said? I thought you knew. Right? It was obvious. We're in love. We're going to get married. Like, this is the love of my life. Why are you making such a big fuss? I thought you knew. This is him to the mother of the child that he's now marrying. The mother was completely angry, tried to talk to Katie, and Katie also would not listen to her and said, yes, we're in love. So what the mum did was she went to the police and she said, you know, my husband or my ex-husband is now marrying my daughter. She is 18, but it's still incest. And nothing got done. They got a warning, but nothing got done. They decided to move away a little bit further, not to a place that they could be together or it's legal or anything, but they got there and they decided to get married. And you would not believe this. When I was looking at this, I could not believe, like, she posted a picture on a social media site, and in that picture it showed the wedding, and it said, quote, "It's not too fancy, but it's true love." But that's not the worst of it. In the picture, there's her adopted parents, her grandmother, his mum, supporting them in this wedding. Now, seeing that, obviously, as you can hear in my voice, I was a little bit shocked, to say the least. But then I thought, you know, what would bring those parents to accept such a thing? The grandmother and the adopted parents. Well, sometimes when you love someone and you don't want to lose them, sometimes you're just there for them, and that's the only reasonable thing that I can think of. Any other logical explanation for them to be there. So the mum saw the picture with them, but the other thing, as you've noticed in this picture, is her belly is super big. So she was already pregnant. She was already 7 or 8 months pregnant. Once she gave birth to a beautiful baby boy, they were together for a little bit, but they were interrupted by the police. There was this investigation going on regarding incest there in that town, and they were one of them. They were both arrested, and not only they were arrested, by law, they have to take away the children that they've made together, the father and daughter. And they took the baby to his mum. His mum was 72 years old, and she got custody of the little boy called Bennett. The father had to go back to his house, Stephen. And then Katie, she moved back to New York with her adopted parents. In the court order, they were told not to have contact with each other at all forever, and the son must stay with the grandmother. Look, all I'm saying is, I'm not saying I agree with it, but there should be a way to look into this more. Is a man, a father that's over 40 years old, and she's 18 when this all happened. Like that, you know, there should be some help, but at least towards her. She was only 18. So he decided to visit his 73-year-old mother where little Bennett was, and he turned to his mother and said, I'm going to take the baby to see his mum up in New York. That's quite a drive. I think it's like 400 miles or something. Anyway, the mother thought nothing of it and thought, you know, you're his dad. Yeah, take the baby. What she did not know was, and I need a drink for this, that Katie called them that day and said, look, we've made a mistake. I'm over it. We are not going to be together. Please don't think that this is just a break because the police told us to have a break. I genuinely wouldn't it be funny if the word didn't come up now? Genuinely. Oh, okay. I think we did a mistake. This isn't gonna work, and you know, I want to see my child one day, so we're done. We're not going out anymore. And he didn't take that very well. So that's when he decided to go to his mum and get the baby. Okay. So he took the baby home, and really quickly and the baby was gone. Okay. Don't really want to say it. I don't like it. So left the now son that's dead at home, and he still made his journey to New York. He gets outside Katie's house where she lives with her adopted parents, and he just waited outside in his car. He just thought, you know, I'll get them. They'll come out at some point. And they did. So first he sees the adopted father come out to the car, and Katie followed after, and he followed them in the car, and before they could get to where they were going, he came out of the car on a red light. He shot them both, and they were dead on the scene. When the police got there to find out what happened and who shot who, they got to Stephen's car, and guess what? The coward shot himself. And if you're wondering about the baby, the grandmother called 999.
3911, address of the emergency.
Yes. My son just called me, and he told me oh my God, North Carolina, he killed his baby, and he's in the house.
Okay, you said that he told you he killed his baby? Okay, ma'am, listen to me. What's your name? What's your home address?
I'm not there. That's his house.
It's a very sad story. Obviously, it was disturbed to begin with. It wasn't well in the head. If you're interested to learn a little bit more about GSA, the phenomenon of GSA, there's a lot there. Anyway, it's just crazy, everything that happened and her short life. The mum, however, Lisa, she has her 2 daughters, and she does do a lot of interviews just to get awareness out there for people that didn't know this could happen, which she has put it out there. And people, I'm not saying that now people are going to stop looking for their parents, but at least maybe something will happen to where they can get help. Once again, guys, I hope you liked this video and this story. Kind of not very nice, but anyway, and I'll see you in 2 weeks time. And once again, thank you, and I'll see you in 2 weeks. Okay, bye, ciao.